Okay, el verbo es tener. So, our first chart was the subject pronouns yo, tú, él, ella, usted, etc. Our second chart was the verb hablar. That one was nice and simple, straightforward, very basic, nothing complicated about it. This one is not. It's very complex, which is why you need 3 colors for color coding. Today is C. Okay, so tener, to have. There's a special term for this form of the verb. Can you tell me what that term is? It's a long word from grammar. Starts with an I. If you look back on your previous chart, what form of the verb is that when it ends with an R? It is an ER verb, but no, that's going to go down here, but it does start with INF. It's infinitive. This is the infinitive form of the verb, which is the one you start with before you do anything. Okay, so that's our infinitive. Now, our first step is what Zach said. We identify, is it an AR, ER, or IR verb? Yes, it is an ER verb, so we're going to make a note of that in the margins or up above. And remember, take up your whole paper when you draw your chart, please.
I don't have.
You don't have your notebook?
Yeah.
Oh, where is it?
Someone ripped it.
Oh, okay. So you need to get a new one, maybe?
I don't know.
Okay, we'll talk after. Gracias. Thank you for answering. Okay, so what do we need to do now to the infinitive? There's a little step we're going to take. It looks like an L. I call it a hook. You're going to separate the 2 parts of the infinitive. Do you remember what the first part is called? The stem. So label your stem, and the stem is T-E-N, and then what do we call this part? The ending. Perfecto. Okay. Then your Spanish teacher informs you that this is a stem-changing verb. So you need to write that in the margins. Stem-changing verb. And so then the question becomes, what kind of a stem change? This one is E to IE. And we write it like this. E arrow, IE. It originally has an E in the stem. And that E is going to change into an IE, but not in every single form. It's going to have a certain pattern that we call a shoe for this verb. It is a shoe verb. Okay, now there's something else that's special about this verb. It is a yo-go verb. So we're going to write that up here next to yo. What that means is in the yo form, instead of just ending with an O, it's going to end with a G-O. So we're going to put that here. There's a few verbs that do this. All right. So let me put my stem. Tengo. And we know that word, don't we? Tengo. So instead of saying tenno, it would normally do tenno, but it just rolls off the tongue better if you put the G in there. Tengo. There's tengo, vengo, pongo. There's a few, and we call them yo-go verbs. I call them yo-go verbs. Okay, now we're finished with that form. The nosotros and the vosotros, they are also going to have the same stem, just like in the original. And you're going to draw an arrow here between nosotros y vosotros. Both ends have an arrow. These two are best buddies. They always do the same thing in the stem, always, always. And just, it's exactly like it is in the infinitive. All right, now we're going to leave those for the moment and we'll come back to them. All right, so next, el otro color. Let's see, how was I doing? I'm going to do it like so. Here's where we're going to see a stem change. I'm leaving space for 2 letters in there. This is where we're going to see the IE. Stem change. And I would even like you to highlight or circle. Okay, that's where the stem change is, and with that same color, we're going to draw. Are you listening, Hanan?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to draw a shoe. This is where the shoe comes in. If you're artistic, and you can make this look more like a shoe if you want, but it's a shoe from the side. That is a mnemonic device to help us remember where there's a stem change. The stem change happens inside the shoe, but not outside the shoe. Outside the shoe, it goes back to the original stem. Okay. And then finally, our third color we're going to use for our endings. So now it looks like we need a vowel here. Can you guess which vowel it's going to be? E. This one, pronounced in Spanish, is E. Are there going to be any R's inside the chart? No. Because we took that off. We took off the ER, and now we're going to put on the appropriate endings. We've got the yo form, tengo. Now we're going to put E's after all the other stems. So now this one is done. Tiene, that looks familiar. Okay. This one needs one more letter. And it ends with the same letter. Segunda persona, second person. They both end with the same consonant. Does anybody remember which consonant it is? S. Nice big S. And this one we need to squeeze a little skinny letter in here. What is it? Yes. I. And we get an accent right here. Tenéis. And this one is tienes. Tienes. Tenéis. Okay, so we're done with those two. All right, nosotros up here is a very long pronoun, right? And to match that length, this one also gets lots of letters. What 3 letters? Yes. So when I cue you, when we do these verb charts, I'll say 3 letras, and you can say mos, you can say MOS, but that's what goes for nosotros. So that one's done. Una letra más. This one is a different consonant that hasn't been used yet. A. I need a consonant. N. N. Tienen. Okay? And now these look pretty familiar, don't they? We've seen tengo a lot. Tienes a fair amount. Tiene a lot. A little bit of tienen. I don't think we've seen this one too much, have we? Tenemos. And I don't really use this one. I just teach it and so you see it. Tenéis. Okay. Muy bien. So that will be your next verb to work on and learn. We'll do lots of practice with it between now and probably late next week. We'll have a quiz on it.